the home of the common Joe and the common Sally in the know, even more so than all those media talking heads. As you know, the other day on the podcast, I read a few random verses from the book of Philippians from the Bible, basically to help people like myself that have been struggling with our beliefs and our faith and our decision on whether we want to go back and be in church. The excuse we use lots of times was, there's a lot of hypocrites in church and we know they're not doing what they're supposed to do. And basically I said my interpretation that while those people may not be doing what they're supposed to do is right, we're there to just hear the word of God and to rejoice in that and to try to learn what we can to maybe get our faith back where it needs to be. And I come across this Bible verse that sort of ties into that to try to explain what I meant about we need to quit worrying about what other people are doing outside church and whether they're there for the right reasons is irrelevant. If they're saying one thing and they're doing another, that's not for us to judge. But this right here might help you a little bit with that. The second book of Peter, verses 21 through 23, it says, "For it would have been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness than having known it, to turn from the holy commandment delivered to them. But it has happened to them according to the true proverb. A dog returns to his own vomit, and a sow, having washed, to her wallowing in the mire," which means a pig wallowing around in its own dirty mud that it knows is dirty. So what that verse tells me is that those people that you think are insincere, that we're judging and they're judging us, vice versa, God knows. He knows their true heart, and he knows, and he actually thinks less of them than he does someone that's very upfront that they're struggling with their faith, or he thinks less of them even more so than those Somalians out there that's cannibals that are eating people that have never received the word of God, that know no better. These people know better, and they continue to do what they know is bad, even though they know the right way to do things. And that was my interpretation of it. You guys and gals, what you think about all that. And today we're going to talk about the man I call Con Time, Deion Sanders, and the fact that some little red flags are already percolating up as we get closer and closer to that circus show that ESPN is going to put on in Boulder by televising the Colorado spring game. And we're starting to see that maybe old Deion Sanders is going to find out real soon that he's no longer recruiting against Grambling or Southern University. Let's talk about it. Woo! Today's song of the day is "Never Know What You Got Till It's Gone" by Cinderella. That's right. Great 80s rock group. Check that out if you get a chance. You won't be unhappy with that. Great song. You'll be thanking me later. But it applies to our man Con Time, Deion Sanders, today because he's about to find out what's gone. And that's his little recruiting edge that he used to have on the HBCU level. But before we get to all that, this is the OCF. That is the Outlaw of College Football, riding on in once again in tow with the Outlaw Posse, and also on Twitter at OCF Productions. Now, getting right to it here. Old Deion Sanders, old Con Time, as I like to call him. He's got a little red flags or two popping up with these recruits. Starting to see that, that little edge that he had on the HBCU level where he could go into recruits' home and sometimes lure away 4- and 5-star athletes by filling their heads with promises of grandeur that they're going to change the narrative of the HBCU level, and then dips out on them after 2 or 3 years. It's not going to fly anymore. He doesn't have that anymore. He doesn't have that edge anymore. Teams like Alabama A&M, Alabama State, and Grambling, and Southern University, all those teams, they didn't even recruit probably 3-star athletes. While Deion's, luring in 4 and 5 stars against these teams that have no 3 stars on their team. It's getting a lot harder for Deion, as evidenced by Colin Simmons, 5-star edge defensive player that was invited to the Colorado spring game, and he basically has turned that down and decided he's not coming. And the reason why he said he wasn't coming is what Deion's going to find out, is that if the SEC or even the Big Ten come calling, more than likely these players aren't going to come to Colorado, even if you are some polarizing figure that some of these guys have a man crush on. I still don't understand the man crush on Deion Sanders. He's such a flamboyant jerk sometimes. I just don't get it, man. You got these people out there that probably have a poster on their ceiling over their bed of Deion Sanders, and they're about to find out. This right here is just a little red flag. You're like, oh, it's just one recruit. Yeah, it's just one recruit. But it sort of reminds me of Lincoln Riley and the fact that Deion Sanders is such a prima donna and well-known offensive guy that a lot of these defensive players are turned off by it. Now, I even think that Lincoln Riley probably has a better chance at getting these defensive players because he wasn't such a prima donna in his playing days. Deion is out there. I mean, it's all over the place. I mean, you can Google it. You can find on YouTube where he was a complete jerk in his playing days to me in both pro football and baseball. I think he's even worse than Lincoln Riley. And that's saying a lot for me because I've been grilling the hell out of Lincoln Riley for quite some time. And Lincoln Riley will probably end up being a more successful coach than Deion Sanders will ever think of being. And that, like I said, that's saying a lot coming from me. But another thing that really bothers me about all this is that ESPN's decided to televise Colorado spring game, which is not an issue with me because, you know, it's sort of noteworthy. He's a polarizing guy. People want to watch and see what he's going to do, so it's going to bring a little bit of ratings in. But the thing is, I don't think it's that much greater than watching a spring game at the University of Alabama or Ohio State or even Notre Dame or even USC Skittle shitters out there in LA. I'd rather watch all of them before I would a 1-10 team. I mean, they haven't even got any of these players really in the system yet. These recruited, they're supposed to be decent players. So what's the big to-do that they're the only one being televised? Like I said, I ain't got a problem with them televising it. Why are you not televising other bigger brands? I'll tell you why. Because once again, ESPN, this is what's going to deep six ESPN because they never learn. They continue to be complete jackasses that try to force their narrative and their agenda, just like a lot of these mainstream media outlets have, like CNN and ABC and NBC and CNBC and all them, man. People have gotten smart to this. People can see through y'all. Social media has made it to where you can get your skirt pulled down and the lies are exposed now. So ESPN, just like with their whole WNBA thing that they try to force down you through all the time. You know, I made a meme of that with this person trying to shove a spoon of salt or sugar down this woman's mouth and it says WNBA on it. If something don't sell, if people don't like it, then why are you trying to force it on people? That's what I like about ESPN. They try to force things. And Deion's going to learn that his hypocrisy is only going to take him so far. And while he's with the network of hypocrisy, and I hate saying that because they're the network that televises the games that I have to watch in my conference, the SEC. And I hope the SEC didn't make their bed with somebody that's about to go deep six. But they may have. But the SEC will be fine. They'll probably find another network if ESPN does go under. But as far as watching anything else on ESPN, outside of watching college football, I don't watch that crap. I don't watch that Stephen A. Smith crap and all them other hypocrites on there. I just don't watch it, man, because they're a bunch of hypocrites. And they're trying to force their narrative on people. And Deion Sanders, he's going to find out, man, that the day of reckoning's coming. The day of having that edge in the HBCU is gone. You got 130, 132 teams now that you got to go up against. You might be able to beat half of them on recruits just off of your persona. But when it comes down to the SEC or the Big Ten schools come a calling for a recruit, you're more than likely going to be ass out. That's all I got to say about that. You guys and gals, tell me what you think about all this. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And as always, KMCA to all the other teams. Class is now officially dismissed.